What started as me being cautious whenever I went to use the bathroom turned into me being scared out of my mind. What I mean about being cautious is I enjoy watching gruesome horror movies to see if I would get frightened. I started doing this when I was a child. I can remember watching Jeepers Creepers along with other older movies. They never seemed to scare me much after watching them. I was just as entertained as a kid watching cartoons. I'm telling you this because it explains me being cautious when sitting in the bathroom alone and vulnerable, with my pants or skirt around my ankles, a book or a tablet in my lap, doing what people do when they use the bathroom. When I was younger, and believe me, I was embarrassed about doing this, I used to open up the curtain of the shower, checking to see if someone was behind there or keeping the door unlocked and ajar. At school, I would flush the toilet, quickly wash my hands, and run out of the bathroom. All this was terrifying, right? No. At the time, I felt ridiculous about being scared to be vulnerable in the bathroom. What was the worst that could happen? I fall in the toilet and someone flushes me down, getting devoured by sewer alligators, never to be seen again? Of course that wasn't my fear. My fear consisted of someone watching me, waiting to catch me in my most vulnerable place and murder me. But not by flushing me down the damn toilet. When I got a little older, I stopped running out of the bathroom. Instead, I take my sweet time, daring the thing watching me to come out. I look under the stalls, checking if the person next to me is actually a person next to me. I was always proven wrong. However, I stopped being afraid at home. I would only feel a chill go down my spine whenever I was alone inside of a public restroom. I'm rambling on, aren't I? I'm not trying to justify my fear any longer. I'll get to the point. I never did tell a soul about what happened to me. I knew they would write it off as a hallucination or a trick of the mind. But one evening, when I was at the office, I felt the urge to use the bathroom. I always try to avoid using public bathrooms, not because of my silly fear, but because they're quite unsanitary. Now, I usually tell one of my fellow employees that I'll be away from my desk for a few minutes. I stretch my legs and arms, working out the tight muscles, and looked around the cubicles near mine, and there was not a single soul. It wasn't strange to me or anything like that. I knew there were meetings all the week. I wasn't going to bother with walking down the aisles looking for someone just to tell them I'd be in the bathroom. I grabbed my Kindle Fire and headed that way. I walked into the bathroom, quickly glanced in the mirror to see if there were any reflections of feet under any of the stalls, and there were none. I swallowed, made my way to the last stall. You're an adult, I think. You shouldn't be scared to use the bathroom alone. Grow up. I sit on the toilet seat, make myself comfortable, flip my Kindle Fire on, and start reading. And as I'm doing my business, I feel butterflies flutter in my stomach. I try my hardest to convince myself I'm too wrapped up in the book to notice the feeling, but I fail. I stare at the door to the stall and then close my eyes tightly. I feel my pulse quicken. I take shallow breaths, trying to calm myself down for a minute. I finally manage to get my heart to return to a steady pace. And I let out a sigh of relief and continue reading. Out of the corner of my eye, I see a shadow. You didn't see a shadow. There's absolutely no one in here. A cool wind seems to blow through the vents, and I shake. Must be the AC kicking on, and smack. I jump at the sound. It sounded like the toilet seat slid beside me. I bite the inside of my cheek, debating on whether or not I should peek under the stall. Afraid someone would catch me and claim I'm a peeping Tom, I gather my long hair into my hand and slowly lower my chest to my thighs to see under the next stall. My eyes are just barely making out the bottom of the toilet. I quickly lowered my head and peeked, and nothing. I let out a long breath. I sat up straight and yawned. As soon as I got comfortable again, I continued reading my book. I checked my wristwatch to see how long I'd been inside the bathroom. Not too long. Just as I'm turning my wrist back to face the side of the stall wall beside me, I catch a reflection in the glass. I see a large pair of bare feet. That's not a pair of women's feet. The pair of feet are wide. They're hairy also, but not like a man's foot, not even like a human's foot, not similar to anything I've seen before. The thing's toenails are long, rigid, yellow, as if they've never been trimmed or washed. The hair follows up the thing's ankles and most likely up farther. I catch a scream in my throat and cover my hands quickly over my mouth, afraid that startling the thing would anger it. By doing this, I drop my Kindle Fire in a loud thud. It echoes throughout the restroom. I squeeze my eyes shut, praying to God to keep me safe. Minutes seem to drag by, maybe even hours, before I finally open my eyes. I check the floor to see if the Kindle is still there. It's perfectly fine. No cracks in the screen, no plastic shattered. I use my watch to look under the stall this time. I see nothing. I snatch my Kindle from the floor without hesitating. This must be my mind playing tricks on me, I mumble to myself. Yes, just my mind playing a cruel prank on me. Very funny. Ha ha ha. As I press the power button on my Kindle Fire, I feel a sudden feeling as though someone is watching me. I frown at the thought, almost sweating from the feeling. I feel like there's a dark shadow over me. Don't look up, don't look up. I repeat this sentence in my head a few times. Don't look up, don't look up. Daring myself, trying to fight my fears, I force my head up. I gasp at the sight. There's long, black, cracked nails attached to a hairy hand. The nails are digging into the metal, denting it. I don't dare look farther up. I quickly yank my pants up, grab my Kindle, and blot out of the bathroom. I never will use that office bathroom again after what happened.